You know what? I'll say it. Alya Sometimes Has Your Feelings in Russian is a bad show. Actually, that's being really generous. To accurately describe it, I would have to use some of the most vulgar words man can think of. Things that I can't say, things that you can't even imagine. This show is so much worse than I could have ever thought. And if you think otherwise, I challenge you to still think that after listening to all of my points. I get that I feel like the show as a guilty pleasure, though if it is, you better feel really fucking guilty, or to laugh at it, but those that genuinely believe from the bottom of their kokoros think that the show is good are beyond this realm. They've transcended reality into this disgusting level of delusion, and I'm here to hopefully reel them back in. So today, I, NoahBoahCoah, will be doing just that, explaining why Alya Sometimes Has Your Feelings in Russian is such a dogshit god-awful show. If I help any of you by reeling you back into the real corporeal world, you can thank me by subscribing. Seriously though, I would appreciate it a lot. 時々ボソッとロシア語で照れる隣のアリアさん, or Alya Sometimes Has Your Feelings in Russian, is a story about... You know, it actually says it all in the title. It's pretty convenient for me actually. She's a tsundere and has a big fat crush on Masachika Kuze, with Kuze being his family name and Masachika being his given name. I'll be taking the liberty of respectively calling him Masa. And before diving into this cesspool, let's talk about some of the good things. You know, to soften the blow a little. The show was pretty and Masa's sister was funny at first. Now onto the cesspool. We first have to have a basic sense of who each character is and what they represent. Masa is every rom-com protag ever. Just as horny, just as pretentious, just as much of a little dickhead, just as much of a bitch, but with the gift of being really gifted as we come to find out. So think Ayana Koji if he were in a rom-com. Alya is a tsundere, but guess what? She speaks Russian. Alya likes Masa and she sometimes has her feelings in Russian because she simply can't contain how much she wants his dick. But guess what? Masa actually knows Russian because there was this girl he wanted to talk to when he was younger, whom he magically doesn't know the name of. I can't say for certain as they may pull off a dumbass twist, but I'm pretty sure that girl is Alya. I fucking hate this amnesia trope. It was dumb in Nisekoi and it's just as dumb here. If someone is that important, it's pretty hard to forget their names and everything about them even years later. I still remember most of my childhood friends and even childhood acquaintances, which I didn't know really well. Sure, I may have forgotten some minor details in who they were, but if you help me jog my memory, maybe, just maybe, if they are right in front of my fucking face telling me that they love me, I may or may not remember. And even aside this show is filled to the brim with terrible, horrible, no good, very bad tropes. Accidental pervert scenes, lack of communication, sister fucking tendencies, indirect kisses, and yes, I said sister fucking. You see, Masa has a sister whom he conceals at school. They try to hide the fact that they're siblings, and instead, they act like innocent childhood friends with his sister, Suo, flirting with him a lot. In public, Suo puts on the nice, refined princess facade, but in private, she's kind of a goblin. And I enjoyed that side of her quite a bit. She was witty.
というわけでサービスショット。いやー。
どこ向いてんだどこ。
わ、バカには見えないカメラ。
裸だけにってか。
She was funny.
Good morning, my brother.
But then, I realized that the only joke they have with her is, haha, I want to fuck my brother. Get it? Hey, it was funny the first time, the second time, maybe even the third time, but then they do it again and again and again, non-stop. The only reason she was bearable throughout the rest of the show was the god-tier voice acting. Maruoka Wakana does some serious heavy lifting here, so props to her. And I don't even know what reason they have for hiding their relationship, so I did extensive research, meaning I did a Google search and saw that it had something to do with their backstory. I get that it's part of their backstory. That's still a dumb fucking reason, by the way. Whatever the reason is, there is a way to not be weird about it with everyone ever. Honestly, it all boils down to the fact that his sister can openly flirt with him if they hide that they are siblings. And guess what? That creep likes it. He wants to pork his sister. And this style of lack of communication extends through every other part of the show. This is not a good thing. I don't know why the people who wrote this or the people who like it think that it is. Having a bad thing be the whole show makes a show a bad show. You know, I think this show might have the worst communication I've seen. Worse than even Toradora. This show has its lack of communication at its most extreme. Literally everything within the show could be solved if they talked like normal people. They just have to say, hey, by the way, I also speak Russian. They can say, hey, Suo is my sister. I'm not porking my sister. They have so many options, but they conveniently take the most cataclysmic and straight nonsensical path. Masa especially makes everything worse the longer he acts ignorant, and by now, yeah, I have to agree, he can't back out, but in the beginning, he could have just revealed that he can speak Russian. Not to mention, if that was the case, they can get together, and I know Masa's horny ass wants this. And I don't know what other explanation there is to this phenomenon than the characters being too plain stupid to do so. Because even other than being too stupid to talk, we see countless instances of them just being stupid. Like, so incredibly so. For example, Alya literally professes her love for him at the end of the 4th episode. She verbatim says I love you in Russian, and they are both in denial that what she meant was that she loves him. How do they have it spelled it out for them and still not know? How else does she have to put it for both of them to understand? Alya has the emotional maturity of a zygote and Masa isn't much better. Alya also doesn't seem to have any sense of conforming to society's norms because of the concept of the show itself. First of all, this is even a bad concept. It's not like the concept is novel and good, but the execution is bad. The concept is as generic as it gets, but that's besides the point I'm making here. Alya has no sense of what's normal, which is a sign of being an infant. From when you were young, you were taught many of society's norms so you don't look like an idiot. Don't shout in public, how to dress, how to engage in a normal conversation, to not speak a foreign language to someone's face. And I don't know why I only realized this in episode 10, but nobody fucking does this shit. No one says things to others in a foreign language. If someone asks me, how do I look today? And I say in English, you look nice. And add on in Korean and go,
아따마 미안아 오늘 좀 심각하네 오늘 좀 특별히 더럽게 억수로 못생겼나 니아나 아이고 임마 심각하다 심각해 병신 같은 놈아.
First of all, it's weird as fuck. Second of all, it's obviously something provocative. Conversely, if I respond in English, no, you don't look good. And then add on, 우와, 너무너무 멋있다, 결혼해줘! I'm obviously saying the opposite. You aren't even supposed to use a foreign language to people you know when there are people around who don't know the meaning. It's just kinda rude. But I guess that's just Alya's character, an annoying, self-absorbed idiot bitch. Also, to cut her some slack, everyone else in the show is just as bad. See, Masa's whole reason for not revealing his secret is to not embarrass her. Let's even give him the benefit of the doubt to that piece of savior complex bullshit. If he doesn't want to embarrass her, why is he fine with embarrassing her by saying that he saw her panties and enjoyed it? Why is he okay with giving her spicy food to watch her panic? Why is he okay with asking her about her cup size? But it honestly doesn't matter how bad of a character and person he really is. Let me lay out some background for this part. In the 16th century, Nicholas Copernicus first proposed a heliocentric model of the solar system. Before that, the geocentric and biblically accurate model was accepted. Later, Galileo would famously solidify Copernicus' theory by making several observations that proved this theory. Then, much later, in the 21st century actually, a new model was discovered by a scientist. That scientist discovered the Masa-centric model of the universe. Also, that scientist is me, BT dubs, and my source isn't that I made it the fuck up. Not this time, because this world does truly revolve around this guy. From everything he interacts with, I refuse to call those things people, ending up wanting his dick regardless of how vile and disgusting he is, to people literally living their lives out for him. For example, during the student council arc thing, which don't even get me started on, actually wait, do get me started on it because it's gonna be the next thing I talk about, and this is a perfect segue to it. Anyways, we meet this girl. I don't know her name, nor do I care enough to search for it. Anyways, that girl starts off antagonistic as shit towards my girl Alya, and then when we hear the reasoning later on, I just lost it. She is so goddamn salty that she lost a student council president election in middle school, by the way, which this show makes so much more important than it realistically is. She swears revenge on him and won't accept losing to anyone else other than him and Suo. She quite literally does the Zorro thing after he lost to Mihawk. You're telling me that you have no purpose in life, Your life is literally as valuable as a summer ant. You're just gonna keep getting stomped and you're gonna keep coming back even though he's gonna seal up all his cracks. You're gonna keep coming back. Why? Because you keep smelling the syrup. You're that worthless that you have no other reason to live than for him. You can't get a job, study, find a hobby, find love, learn a new skill, nothing, just him. If that alone isn't enough evidence for the Masa-centric model, I don't know what is. Also, now back to the arc as a whole. First off, I want to start off with something pretty good. The Prez. I like Prez. He honestly is my #1 advice. It's not that important, but I figured I may as well say it again. I've said this before somewhere during a stream, but if you want to improve yourself, become the type of person you would like. If you want a girlfriend or boyfriend, become the type of person you would date yourself. It's a lie if someone says you don't have to change, just be the way you are and someone will love you. I'm gonna be blunt, if you're a loser, no one's gonna like you. That's a fact. So change and improve yourself little by little. That's exactly what the Prez did and I really liked it. And sadly, that's the only good part of this arc. Firstly, you must assume that everything I said before remains true, if not amplified during this whole arc. Then, we could start discussing the additional bad things that happen. They start by introducing us the student council, which really wants Masa. He rejects them at first, putting on the normal background character facade, doing the overused I just want a normal high school life thing, but then reveals his true colors. His colors are still pretty much the same disgusting hue of dog shit. But when Alya is having trouble settling a dispute between two clubs, she starts crying like a baby, and Masa comes to save the damsel in distress. This conflict, which is supposed to be a cool, smart, dramatic moment, is by far one of the dumbest things I've seen in the show, and that's a really high bar to cross, or a really low one depending on how you see it. They're just having a common dispute, nothing crazy, but Alya just starts crying for no reason. I get it can be stressful, but only an infant would cry over something that mild. But that isn't the worst part. The worst part is that Masa's pretentious ass basically pulls an Aya Nakoji. Both Masa and Aya play the same role within their respective shows, the genius asshole coming to the aid of distressed women. And you know how I felt about Classroom of the Elite. And while Aya is far more edgy, Masa is so much more annoying to me. Well anyways, Alya and Suo run against each other for student council president, with Masa on Alya's side. And let me just say, I agree with the other girl before. Only Suo, actually anybody else, should be president because of how stupid Alya is, even from a practical sense. Suo basically invites Alya to a trap and was pretty open about it. Alya knows she doesn't really have a good reason to go, and she still goes and falls for the trap anyways. Then, Masa has to clean up, and even what was supposed to be the most hype moment, the debate and speech, fell really short. The debate was ludicrous. The contents of their arguments themselves weren't that bad, it's how they react. They first do this shit. That is not how a debate works. What the hell are they doing? They do that because Alya is getting smoked. And then, because our cool, hot, kind, intelligent protag-kun steps up, it's GG's. Next, after getting smoked, the opponent pulls this.
そよっち
I don't think I have to explain why that's so stupid. Then we have the actual speech. Yeah, they both present it as dignified cerebral speeches, but they're not. Suo's is the most generic shit ever, and Alya's is so much dumber than I could have ever imagined.
Разрешите представиться. Казначей ученического совета Куджо Алиса. すいません。緊張のあまりロシア語が出てしまいました。
It's so fucking stupid. I get it was planned, but what the fuck? The reason was that they wanted to pour cold water on them. But to do that, you could have done any other stupid shit. You could have gone up there and flashed your balls or goat's eat or any dumb shit and it would have worked. And somehow, they still chose the dumbest option. During all this mayhem, we get sprinkled parts of Masa's backstory, and from what I can see, he is literally Kosei from Your Lie in April. And I'm not talking about how the world revolves around him, I'm talking about the whole mom thing. Masa's mom doesn't seem as bad, but it's fundamentally the same backstory. It almost feels like the show was specifically made for me to hate. How do they mix up so many things I hate? But, you know, this whole thing could be self-aware. Self-awareness makes everything good, right? Yes, but sadly, this is not self-awareness. By self-awareness in a show, I mean knowing what you're doing is ridiculous, but going all the way with it and making it almost sarcastic or changing a crucial part in it to subvert the trope, like a parody. So it is not self-awareness if you acknowledge the fact that you are doing something stupid, but then do nothing to change it and continue to do said stupid thing. So it is also not self-awareness to do the indirect kiss bullshit, acknowledge it, but do it in the exact same way everyone else does it. Also, I can't express the utter disdain I have for this trope with words in any human language. It's so stupid. If indirect kissing was a big deal, I've indirectly made out with too many people. I would be an indirect man-whore if that's the case. And not just me. I'm pretty sure that everyone watching this is an indirect giga-slut. It's not that crazy. It's really not that crazy. Getting back on track though, let me give you a couple more examples of the lack of self-awareness. The sister fucking. We know this is a trope where the sister wakes up on top of the brother. I actually don't mind this. I think this has a sliver of self-awareness. I'll acknowledge that. I like the scene, but it devolves from there. She just wants to fuck him. Nothing changed. She just likes him in a romantic manner. That is not self-awareness. The premise of the show even. It's stupid and generic. Do they change the way they do a tsundere meets plain guy show, or even the bare minimum of acknowledging it? No. So this show has a handful of self-aware moments, but it isn't as a whole. So yeah, this show is egregious. It has some of the worst character and plot, but hey, it has good animation I guess. But even that, only some parts. Specifically, the horny scenes. The edgy scenes took up about 95% of the whole studio's budget for this show, and my source is that you should just trust me, bro. And this wasn't a show where a little extra effort here and there could have fixed it, or one where a few mistakes made it barely bad. No, the only way the show becomes good is by having a different plot, different characters, different studio, different name, different everything. It's so unimaginably bad. And well, there you have it. My name is NoahBoahCoah, and thank you for watching. Now, let's try this again. Меня зовут NoahBoahCoah и спасибо за просмотр. Did I get it right? I think I got it right. God damn, let's go.